This conference will now be recorded.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. This is the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors meeting. We're at the Mitchell County Courthouse in Osage. The meeting is virtual also. Sydney is with us virtually, so she's in attendance also. We have an agenda in front of us. If there are any corrections need to be made to the agenda? If not, I'll accept the motion to approve it.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Brian approves. Second, is there a second?
I'll second.
Henderson seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the minutes of the February 28th meeting. I'm assuming everybody's had time to look that over. Any corrections need to be made, otherwise I'll accept the motion for it.
Make a motion for the 28th meeting.
Henderson makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Meyer seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Sydney. Aye. Mike,
Aye.
Mark.
Aye. Okay. County Attorney General discussion.
Don't really have a lot this morning. I know next week, John Burke is coming up to review. I'll have another, I don't know, depending on what happens, I don't know what's gonna happen, but there'll be a little more paperwork that'll go along with that. I'll forward that ahead of time. That's about all I can think of specifically right now. Rest this week, I'll be around. I'm working all week. Well, I work most every week, but I've got, tomorrow I've got a court thing scheduled. It's on a county matter. It's what's called post-conviction relief matter, which is when basically I'm overgeneralizing here, and maybe I'm editorializing a little bit, my own personal opinion, but basically a post-conviction relief is when somebody's been convicted of a crime and they file an appeal and their appeals all run out, then you can always file a petition for post-conviction relief to say, I'm really innocent, right? So I've got a hearing on one of those tomorrow. I don't know how long it'll take. I point that out just because if somebody's trying to find me tomorrow and I'm not around, I'm probably upstairs. Shouldn't take all day, and I'm hoping it doesn't because I've got some other stuff scheduled tomorrow in the afternoon I can't really bump. Then I got some depositions later this week and some private stuff. So I'll be around, but if someone's looking for me over there, I may or may not be over there at the time. So.
Sounds good. Okay. Any questions for the county attorney?
Yeah, I have some, the Carpenter Sewer Plant.
Yep.
Mike Weber.
Yep.
Wants to give it up. So I've been, well, you Mark, went to their council meeting last Sunday and I was in contact with Ron Goodale to see if he wanted to do it because he was a runner-up the last time. He Sunday morning looked it over. And he decided he's too busy to do it. But now the mayor had talked to Tim Kruger from Grafton. He takes care of Grafton Sewer Plant.
Mm-hmm.
He's willing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For $1,000, 50 more than Mike Weber is doing it. So they think that's a good deal. Do we have to put it out for bids like we did the last time, or can we just go with this guy, or? That's my question. I don't think anybody's gonna do it cheaper, but that's just.
Probably ought to follow that same procedure.
Okay.
But I agree with you. And
But we can do it, I don't know. People say we're 2,600 and that other, was it RJ Stone or AJ Stone, he was 2,200, whatever, they were all a lot more.
Yeah, I think I would do that.
Where did we post that the last time? Did we, Facebook, or was it a
I don't know if
newspaper?
it was really posting or you guys called the
Maybe
different
just-
places and asked if they wanted to place a bid.
Maybe that's what it was. So we should do that, and
Yeah.
because he wants to be done by the 1st of April, 1st of May latest. But he'll work with whatever, he'll work with us to get it filled. So, okay,
Sounds good.
that's my question.
You're gonna follow up on it, Mike?
Yeah, I'll follow
To
up
do
with that. Yep, I'll follow up with that and contact. Maybe within a week or two, I can have it on the agenda and have bids and official, do it official then. That's why I was wondering, we need to do it officially or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll take care of that. Yep.
Any other questions? You got the ordinance I sent you, correct?
Yesterday?
Yep.
I did.
Okay. Without getting into a lot of details about it, we're gonna have to create an ordinance for something that's gonna be happening here. It'd have to be timely at getting that done. Amanda has reviewed 6 other ordinances, showed highlights that she feels on those ordinances. The one I sent you was pretty good. I reviewed it, I highlighted things in it. I'll send it to the board also, but, we're gonna have to be timely at making that happen.
Yeah, I've heard that ordinance you sent me, I've heard other people comment that they thought that was a pretty good thorough ordinance, so.
Okay.
I have read through it before. I've not read through it since you sent it yesterday. I went through some of it, but not all of it, but I have read it before. But yeah, because I know somebody was here commenting, one day about the companies circulating things among landowners, and I know that's happening because, now my private clients are coming to me with questions, so I'm a little confused on the way the company's kind of doing it. Sounds like they're kind of trying to sign everybody up before they have everything in place.
That might be a tactic.
Well, I suppose it is. I'm not naive. I suppose it is, but
Okay.
you're right. I mean, yeah, so.
From what I understand, we have to have it in place by a certain, I don't know whether it's, again, not want to get into a lot of details at this time, but we have to have our ordinance in place before a certain time, otherwise there's no purpose of us even having it, so that's why it needs to be timely.
I'll look at it, and then, I mean, you guys got to decide how quickly you want to move on it.
All right.
Getting everything in order doesn't take very long, on my end.
All right.
And I'll review, like I said, I'll review that ordinance and Amanda too, because, I mean, that's probably part of what you're relying on me is to say, is this okay?
Correct.
So I will dive into that a little bit more. And, I'll get with Amanda, because it sounds like she's probably already reviewed some from some other counties, right, or is going to. I say I could reach out to some other counties, but if she's already got some, then maybe I'll just get with her and say, let's see what you got from them.
Yeah, I could have sent you all of them, but it's kind of like overload, you know, so.
It's all right, I can get with Amanda easy.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right,
You're gonna be here for this department head discussion?
I'm gonna be here.
Sounds good.
I'm not leaving yet. Okay.
Thank you. Sheriff update.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Green. So I'm gonna give you a 3-page document. What it is it just is an update on a room and board account that the sheriff's office has, and then a state asset forfeiture account. You'll see that the top one in the room and board shows about $165,000. And in the asset forfeiture one, it's around 10,000. So the reason I'm showing you that is, there comes a time at the sheriff's office and at every agency actually, where they really need to update some firearms. And I would like to update our duty pistols. Some of them have been in service since 2011. Do they wear out? No, not really. You can maintain them with different springs and parts, keep them going. The sights that come on law enforcement pistols are night sights. They have a 10-year warranty, and then they'll still last on occasion past that 10-year lifespan, but they'll begin to fade, and then so you either replace them, or typically through Glock, we trade a firearm and we can get new for about the replacement cost of the new sites. So what I would like to do later on this spring, and I don't need an answer from you guys today, I just want to update you on what I'm thinking, is I would like to sometime early May purchase 10 new duty pistols for the sheriff's office. That would cover all the full-time guys and our reserve deputies. Along with that, you would get a new duty holster and mag carriers. The total cost of that package that we've been estimated today is $11,500 and change. What I'd like to do is use some of the room and board fees to make that purchase. The existing firearms then, I think I will handle like Kurt handled years ago when we went to these, is whatever the market value of those firearms is, traded value to Glock, they would be offered to the deputies and reserve deputies of purchase. Then that money would then be turned over to the general fund. So at 11.5, that gets reduced with every purchase of firearm and ammunition, because we're going to be changing from a 45 caliber gun to a 9mm caliber gun. Down the road, that ammunition currently is cheaper to purchase than the 45 is. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for sometime in early May, unless there's objections from you guys. The Iowa Code, and you can look at chapter 356, dictates what room and board fees can be spent for. So courtroom security is one of those things, law enforcement personnel, that's kind of a broad area there. Does that mean you can hire deputies with it? Does that mean you can outfit the deputies? Law enforcement personnel, well, duty pistol would certainly go to law enforcement personnel. Updates in the jail, that money can be spent for. So they limit a sheriff's office and what they can use that money for. So I can't give raises, for example, out of that money. Or you guys can't approve those raises out of that room and board money. The code doesn't provide for that. So chapter 356, I think it's point 6 or 7 if you want to review that. Aaron can certainly review it, make sure I'm within the boundaries. I think that I am on that. And so the money's there, and unless there would be a big objection or something, we would make that transition sometime in May. We purchase those firearms and then spend the summer getting personnel qualified, and then they'd be carrying those new pistols by fall. So that's kind of in a nutshell what that's all about. So really, that's all I have. The new pickup's being outfitted in Des Moines. We should have that before too long now. And that'll be on the road. Then that'll open up one of them to be either used by the county in another department or whatever you guys choose.
Where's the duty pistol? Do you need us to actually vote on that, or?
I don't think so.
So.
Yeah, I don't think I do. I just want you to be aware that if you see a bill that's $11,000, whatever it is, all right? So, yeah, I try to be
Appreciate that.
upfront so you don't see that and then wonder why I didn't know about it, type thing.
All right.
I think it sounds like a good plan.
Okay, appreciate it. That's really all I have, unless somebody here has something. I'll leave Sydney's out. I don't know how we can get that to her.
Oh, we'll put it on her desk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll get it
Thank
later.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Department head discussion. Anything?
I got a few things. I sent an email yesterday, but I'll be out of the office Thursday, Friday, so I'm gonna send the agenda if anyone needs anything added on Wednesday. I was contacted by South Square. I know you'd asked about the big trucks. They asked about a road grader, possibly being there that Easter, the breakfast with the bunny thing they have. It's on April 1st from 8 to 11, and they prefer for the big trucks to be there no later than 7:30.
Just a motor grader.
Yeah, that's all they asked for, unless you want to take more, I guess.
You guys okay with that?
And then I sent you an email about that marketplace media company bill we got, the Substance Abuse Coalition. I know we're gonna take that out of the opioid money. We don't have anything in the budget now. Are you guys okay with, they pay it and we can reimburse them when we do our budget amendment in May? Then we don't have to published twice just for, as much as this bill is how much you're gonna pay for an ad in the paper for the budget.
And I'm on that committee and I know they have budget, they have money in their budget that they can use for this and then get reimbursed.
I emailed the treasurer and she said that would be no problem to do that.
Okay.
But I do have questions about that, not that it's a problem, but, so we approved to do the ad. Is it just because there's not a line item for it that we
Correct.
can do it? Is that it?
Yep, so
Okay.
until we do a budget amendment to put $400 or $350 in there, we aren't supposed to go negative on a line item.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the future, can we plug in the budget, so much opioid money in a line item, so when this comes up, then we don't have this happen?
Yeah, the struggle is because it just came out this year and so it was never in the budget.
It's kind of, I'm sure frustrating for them, well, me also, that we approve money for them, they get a bill, and then we say, well, we can't pay the bill. So I mean, if we could.
Well, I brought it up
something
at
in
that meeting when we approved it, that we wouldn't be able to pay it until we did an amendment,
there.
so.
I didn't remember
yeah.
that, sorry.
No, that's fine, but it is frustrating, but,
Okay, so we'll plug something in there and maybe not have that
Yeah.
happen again. Perfect.
and then I have a letter here that I got, and I believe you guys all got, I was just gonna read it. It's kind of interesting. Says Mitchell County currently has 25.2% of value being used for tax increment financing. This shorts the general and rural funds combined almost $2.3 million for revenue per fiscal year. Who do you think makes up the difference in the shortage of revenue? That's right, the Mitchell County taxpayers. An article dated December 9th, 2022, Islands for Tax Relief Foundation suggested limiting the percentage of a community's property tax dollars in urban renewal areas, TIF, to no more than 4%. The local levying authorities have placed most of the past decade's economic growth that Mitchell County has had in TIF. In 2012, 15.2% of the taxable valuation was in TIF. In 2007, 4% of the taxable valuation was in TIF. That means although the county has grown economically, most of that growth has not been added to the tax base. Therefore, the tax base is not keeping up with inflation and the increases to local budgets. There has been recent discussion of using TIP dollars for another construction incentive program. In other words, they want to use tax dollars from the county's past economic growth and give away the create economic growth. Let's say this another way. They want to give away revenue that's being kept from the tax base to add to the tax base. Make no mistake, TIP dollars are property tax dollars. Should property tax dollars be used to subsidize development that would have happened anyway and will only benefit a handful of people? I strongly urge you to look at the use of TIP as a way of providing property tax reform and relief to local taxpayers.
So I can probably comment on that. So just, I mean, within our board, we have discussed like a construction loan program and stuff. It hasn't been approved by our board, hasn't been, you guys don't really know about it, probably. But the intent of that program was never to use TIP funds. And so maybe there was a misunderstanding in the community that maybe people are thinking that we're using TIF for housing, but that's not at all how that would have been intended. I mean, there is language in the Iowa code that you can use like TIF for housing infrastructure regarding like rebates and stuff like that. And like that, the stuff that I've been looking at is what's in the Iowa code for to use TIF and stuff, so. But again, that was never the intent to use TIF funds for that program.
Okay, so that's an inaccurate statement as far as that part of that document that's not accurate.
Right.
That whoever that was, is that signed?
No.
That's not signed?
Mhm.
Okay. So we don't know who did that, all right. Any other comments from the board?
That's fine that you read that, and let us know, but, I received things and, I have multiple envelopes that I've had people, whether most of it's complaint, hasn't been signed, I disregard it.
I do, but I do think this is a true statement that taxpayers do need to know that I'm gonna bring up with the TIF and with the windmills, because it was talked about with windmills coming. That's fine, they can come. If we don't tip those windmills, do you know how much money we're gonna have in our general and rural basic? Rich is gonna have more money than he knows what to do with when we give him transfers. That's gonna make him happy. I mean, there's a way to do it without, Just my opinion. That's why I wanted to read it, because I thought it was information that the public doesn't really have the knowledge of without us giving it to them.
And I'm fine with that. I'm just letting you guys and the public know that, better off to sign them if you're gonna send them to me, so.
And I guess like from my point of view, like if people have concerns about what economic development is doing or not doing, I mean, I guess I would just like it if they would just like reach out to me to say, hey, like, is this true or not true, which people have. And, I mean, there's always two sides to every story, right?
It said in there 4%, limited to 4%. So I'm not really sure what they're basing that on, but I know the maximum that you can have for your debt load is 5%. And we're currently at 2 to 2.5. So I mean, we're under, if that's what they're referring to, we're under the 4% by half. So there's the other side of things also.
Well, it says in 2012, it was 15.2%.
No, you're only limited to 5% of maximum debt. That's Iowa code. So there's no way we could be 15%.
The taxable evaluation could be, because right now it's like 25% of the taxable evaluation.
Read it in the code. You're limited to 5% debt for a county. That's all debt, not just TIF. That's everything. That's the max. So, any other department head discussion? Okay. County engineer update.
Few things for you this morning. What we have on the agenda right now is to approve the Balsam Avenue contract. I got it presented to you guys last week, the apparent low bidder. I reviewed the documents. Seems like it's been a very competitive bid. I'm gonna recommend we approve the contract to Uland Contracting, to Uland Brothers, for the amount of $216,625.79 for the paving project in Balsam. What I presented to you and what you guys may have in front of you is a resolution to approve the project and then also allow me to sign the contract in Doc Express like we have in the past.
Resolution number for this, Rachel, is
1156-23.
56.
56.
I think you just pretty much said everything as far as what's in the resolution, the dollar amounts.
Yeah, everything is in there and then allowing me to sign for it. This is an STP project, which has federal aid in it, so we will be paying, because we don't have swap dollars anymore. This is, well, that one wouldn't have been a swap project anyway, but we have federal wages on this, so there'll be, when you have a federal aid project and you have federal wage requirements, sometimes bids come in a little higher because of that, but you're getting federal money to do the project, so just as an FYI on that, but yeah, everything is in that resolution.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept resolution 1156-23?
I would move to make that motion.
Brian makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sydney seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Sydney,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mark.
Right? Okay, motion carries.
We, I think I brought it to your attention last week about, I think it was the week before, about the new rural grant opportunity and the project of submitting through Stacyville, our farm market extension routes through town. We made the second cut, so I have to, by Wednesday next week, have a more detailed estimate of what it's gonna cost. But one thing we need to know, one thing I need to know before I go any further, and I sent an email to the city clerk this morning because he's starting to get a hold of the tax season right now, but I wanna know, we don't know how much money is available. They could cap the grant at $5 million for each project. We don't know whether we're gonna make the final cut or not. I have a story to put together to try to sweeten the pot a little bit to make it look more appealing to the grant committee. All that has to be done yet before Wednesday. But one critical thing is, or a couple critical things is, one, is the Board of Supervisors committed to funding this project regardless of whether they cap it or not? I mean, they might do an 80% match with all federal funds like they did on our bridge. If they don't, we still have to come up with the extra money. And so are you guys committed to providing extra money if we don't have it in our farm to market account? Or if the city, I don't know if the city's gonna need help funding it or not. We also need to commit to, will we have an agreement with the city? Obviously, I think we should, because some of this work is gonna be on sidewalk, ADA panel improvements, possible curb and gutter things. But I guess I need to know from the board's perspective, and that's fine. I'd like to turn it in as soon as I can, but we still have a week to think about it before I have to have it in next Wednesday. But is the board committed to finding ways to provide funds if we don't have them in our farm to market balance to pay for us? Think about it though, there's an opportunity that of bringing $5 million into the county for improvements, and maybe we don't have to spend more than, I don't know, 20%, say $1 million or so out of our own money to do this major project that could take place. So think about whether we're committed to trying to find money if we don't have it in our farm to market balances. And then I've also asked the city to see if they are committed also to participating. Obviously, they wouldn't pay for the paving into town, but everything in town that has to do with the engineering work and the side streets and things like that, we would have to cost share in some of that. A lot of the major expenses are probably just paving. I haven't determined yet what we want to put down for a surface. With the truck traffic that's in town, I think a concrete road would be better than an asphalt road, just for the simple fact that we've been in that town several times and the road just doesn't hold up to the heavy traffic that's going through town now. But something to think about also, are we committed to paying, like we did for the bridge, we've committed to paying up to $20,000 or $30,000 our share for a consultant to help with the grant together like last time. Whether or not we get funding, we still have, it still has to be put together, and a consultant is usually used for that. So kind of the same questions as the last bridge project that we went through and have submitted. Are we willing to provide extra funding if we need to?
You want answers today?
If you want to provide answers today, I'd like to get the ball rolling, because I don't want to wait until Tuesday to have to figure out, well, I don't want to put all this work into it and say, well, we're not going to be committed, but it's up to you guys if you want to.
I'm committed.
What's in the farm to market fund?
We're at a zero. I mean, we're at a level balance right now. We've got projects. This STP project's going to have funding taken out of it. I'm looking at a fiscal 25 project. I don't know if
this one would be, is in 25.
This one I'm thinking is 25. I'm not sure what the requirements are, how soon we have to have the money spent. I can always kick it back, but we're not getting enough money for all the other projects that we're normally scheduling for, because in a week or two, I'll have another STP application I want to turn into to our NIACOG group for another project that we'll do in 5 years from now when we have enough funding to provide partial funding with STP dollars, also with FM grant. So, I mean, we're trying to keep our balances where they're at. We get $900,000 a year, but we've got other projects along the way. And this is a great opportunity, because I haven't really planned too much to go into the city of Statesville because of all of the infrastructure they have underneath the roads and all the detail that needs to be done with survey and everything else. We've been kind of holding off, but now we have an opportunity to fix that farm to market extension through town in both directions, north, south, east, and west, that we can get federal dollars for it.
So you would do all directions, huh?
I would just to the east and west to the city limits,
Yep.
But north and south from 218, we pave that road because that's kind of in the plan now. If I can get it in here, I think last week I told you I programmed monument from 218 to the city limits in fiscal 24. If we get this grant, I'd push it off and include it in this project where we can get that paving done with federal dollars versus our own farm to market funds. It would open some things up. I still have to massage a lot of things to tell you exactly what we would have.
But if they cap it at 5 million, that's only going to do probably one stretch, not.
Well,
Right?
I don't know if they're going to cap it.
Yeah, if they don't cap
But
it, yeah.
we're not, it's not going to cover the whole project.
Oh, right.
I didn't want
You
to.
just going west is probably going to be 5.
Well, we're going to go west to the city limits.
Oh, that's all you're doing.
We're gonna do the east and west portions in city limits, because those
Okay.
projects I'll try to do, because we can't do everything. I mean,
Yeah.
we wanted to go west, we could put a 10 million project
Oh, right.
together,
That's
but
what
we just,
you were going all the way.
we don't wanna go, no, we're gonna go from 218 from the south, from Monument
South,
into
okay.
town.
I took it as-
And then do the east west, because in town, it's pretty rough on the side streets too, and they need some better drainage. A lot of it has to do with, you know, they want safety improvements. I don't know if we'll make the final cut or not, based on, it's a pretty safe road coming into town now, but I really want to stress and try to build a story based on the economic growth of the city. You know, they just lost their grocery store. What do they have planned? What would a new road into town really provide for the city as far as a facelift and get more economic growth into that town?
They got that new chemical plant that's how many millions of dollars, you know,
So-
it's gonna be a lot of truck traffic.
We just approved the business last week, didn't we?
Oh, Homer's Bar Grill, yeah.
Oh, sure, yep, and that'd be right on that main stretch too. I think it's a great opportunity. Whether we make the cut is another question before we go to grant, but I guess I need some commitments. I mean, we'll do what we can on our end to, you know, limit our farm to market spending, but we still got other projects to do too. This just kind of is an opportunity to get, to throw in another $5 million into a project that we normally probably couldn't afford otherwise without
Right.
sacrificing something else.
So when you do this, how soon do you find out if you made the cut?
We don't know when we're gonna find out about the bridge. It'll be months.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what I've got right now is when I turn my program and budget in, it's gonna show a duplicate project in there with Monument Avenue, and then Monument Avenue be included in this other one too, and whatever, if we get the grant, fine, we just won't do that other project.
Okay.
Well, we won't do that stretch this year, we'll do it in the following year. So I still gotta finalize that whole program yet before April 15th.
Yeah.
But it seems like these opportunities keep coming up and that gets pushed back, because I'm
Yeah.
working on the now stuff instead of the stuff. Sooner or later, that program and budget's gonna be the now thing, but these other things are more urgent timelines.
Right. So if you do go ahead with this and you get it, and you could always push something else back a little bit.
Well, hopefully, hopefully we wouldn't be sacrificing a pavement that really needs more work. I mean, I know that those roads west of town, past, I think what I'm looking at doing is turning an STP application in to do, the Dino Quarry Road, the road that goes north past the quarry. That one's in pretty rough shape. So I was looking at doing an STP grant for 5 years out yet to do that road. It's a shorter stretch. I might be able to fund it with, but there's a lot going on with, do we have the funding or not have the funding in our farm to market account? If we don't, there's a lot of work that we need, that probably should be getting done, that we don't always have the funding for. So are we willing to, and I hate to say it, are we willing to use TIF money if we have to supplement the match that we're gonna need, probably be required to do? What's the city gonna be able to provide for the project as well? A lot of unanswered questions, but if we can commit it, you know, we're not there yet, but I just need the commitments to put it in the questionnaire. If it's a no, then I'll just stop now and won't do anything.
I just feel if the grants, if you shortchange the grant and everything you put into it, it gets pushed aside. We wasted a lot of time and money, so, I mean, if we're gonna go for it, I think we gotta, 100%.
If you go for it, does it have to be committed? Okay, to go for it, it'll probably happen in 25.
Well, timing right now, I've got it programmed in there because it seems like some of that money needs to be spent. I think the bridge is 27. I could push it back further. I just didn't want to push that road back too far to where we're beyond the repairs we wanted. I might have to do some repairs on it this year just because over by the intersection of 218 and it's pretty rough there already. You might just have to do a thin overlay, get a ride quality out of it because we know we're gonna do something later.
Right.
So
That's the only really bad spots.
there's a lot of bad spots in there. We can kind of cover them up for now. And then when we do a project, we can fix them properly, but I don't want to push it out too far where we're going to sacrifice the structural integrity of the existing road to do anything with it later.
Yep. Okay. So if you did do it and you're thinking 25 and for some reason it has to wait till 26, it's okay.
Well, as far as I know, they haven't asked me for a timeline yet of when I want to do it. I can program it
For
in 26 if I want to.
For what you feel.
Right now, I just put it in 25 because it would be nice to just let's get going on this. But I don't want to push the issue because we'll need to have a consultant on board to do all the city work, as far as making sure, if they want to replace their curb and gutter, there's a lot of delicate elevations because they've got some pretty flat transitions off sidewalks, parking areas, all their existing utilities are in there. I mean, it's a lot of detailed work. It's going to be expensive in that regard.
They just re-blacktop that between the sidewalk.
Yep, they just did all their water main projects and did all their parking there. So, I mean, that part's done. I did talk to their city engineer last week and said, hey, look, this might be coming up. I need to talk to you, maybe need to talk to you about it some more, but what's their infrastructure like under these roads? Because if they're not any good, it doesn't make sense to put a new road on top of it and then have to dig it up later. Sounds to me like they're being very progressive in that city.
I think they've got it all.
About doing, they're gonna be doing some sewer grouting and things like that. So trying to really preserve their system so they can avoid digging up stuff. But there's some drainage issues going east out of town by the bowling alley, the bar there. There's a lot of things going on in there that probably need to be addressed, but that road's not, that little stretch there between that intersection and the bridge is not great either. I mean, it's falling apart.
Yeah.
So we don't want to hold off too long. I mean, I guess we can limp it along, but I guess the question is, no matter what, if we don't have the farm to market funds, or if we don't want to spend the farm to market funds, is there a commitment from the board to find funding to supplement any sort of federal money that we would be required to have to do these projects?
My answer is yes. We'd always use BROS, STP, and farm to market funds first, if it's available. But if we're out of that money and there's still things that need to be done, there's TIF funding that it's a funding source that's sitting there and it's there for a purpose. It was created for a purpose. To not use it if we need it is being fiscally irresponsible.
And I don't know specifically how much of that can be used in the city, but because because it's a farm to market extension through town with a population less than 500, that pavement is the responsibility of the county. So it's not like we're spending it in city limits based on the population, because we get the farm to market money for that stretch, but we give it back to the cities for maintenance. But when we come to a certain project, now we have to have a different agreement than our 2080, because we're talking about more money being spent and it's more than just maintenance. So if you don't want to commit now, that's fine, but I need to know before Wednesday next week. Otherwise I'll just stop now and I'll go do the other stuff I need to get done.
Got one thing. So you brought up TIF, I want to say in like 25, 26, because we're going to have a couple of bonds paid off. Our carryover number, I don't have the exact number, but I guess 1.5 to 2.5, that Aaron can maybe correct me, instead of going out and buying a bond, I believe there's a way you can do it with a loan. I mean, you still got to do all the fancy paperwork, but you can still use then the TIF money instead of having to bond to use the TIF money.
I talked with Heidi yesterday in regards to this, ironically, not because of this, she called me, wanted to talk. Internal loans only work if, to use TIF, you have to either buy a bond, you have to have a bank loan, or do an internal loan. So let's just pick a number, any number you want, $500,000, $1 million, whatever you want. In order to use an internal loan, you need to have, let's pick $1 million. You need to have $1 million in your general fund to use for the project, and then use that as the internal loan from TIF. So it's basically your collateral. We've been struggling to end up getting the carryover balance the way it is, so I really don't see that that's a possibility to do internal loans. That was like $20,000, $50,000, yeah, that's something that's probably would work, but for the cost of that insignificant amount of money to do the legal portion of it, it makes no sense. So internal loans sound good if you were a county that's 3 times bigger than us and have this giant general fund, but we struggle to make it work as it is, so.
And I don't know how, with a federal aid project, how if we fund it with local dollars versus farm to market, when we subsidize with farm to market funds, everything goes through the DOT payroll system, because they're the ones that put money in the farm to market account. They'll use the farm to market account as a pass-through account to pay the feds back. And then when the Fed money comes in, they'll reimburse our farm to market account. it's kind of a off to the side, kind of a financial banking thing. When we have to provide it separately, I think we pay probably into the farm to market account separately. It's kind of a goofy transfer, not impossible because not everybody's gonna have the money to do what they need to do, but, or we hold off the farm to market account, keep it where it is, and maybe do other projects with local dollars that we would probably use farm to market money for to keep that fund solvent enough to cover the costs of doing this project. Keep in mind, we can only have a 3-year balance in that account, so we wouldn't want to have it grow high enough that we wouldn't be able to use accumulating more money. We'd lose the money to go distribute it back to other counties. So there's a balancing act with the funding, and I don't think we'll run into the problem of having too much money in the farm to market account ever, but we can also borrow ahead. But at this point in time, I don't have exact dollar numbers to tell you whether I think right now, when I looked at it last, we were right at the zero number, the zero level in our farm to market balance. So anything we do is gonna be borrowing ahead. And if you get borrowed ahead too far, they won't let you borrow ahead further. I mean, if you have one project that puts you borrowed 3 years ahead, that's great. But if you're already borrowed a year ahead, and these numbers are not the actual numbers, but if you're borrowed a year ahead already, they might not let you go deeper into the hole because they want to see that you're going to have to be able to come out of the hole before you start burying yourself again. So there are certain requirements with borrowing that we've got to keep an eye on too. But I think there's ways to manage the money and the accounting to make it work for us if we're willing to go through all that.
Well, my feeling is, just like I said before, if you're gonna go through the work to do it, I want you to go through that we're gonna get it, you know.
Well, I don't get to make the call whether we get it or not.
No, but I mean, that there's no reason to throw something together next Tuesday afternoon and.
Find out that we're not.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? That's my feeling. I mean.
Have they had a lot of these before?
Like, what's that?
These grants or whatever?
This is all new from that bill that was passed. I mean, we're gonna have more grants coming through. I don't know what they're gonna be for, but we've hired the Iowa County Engineers Association has hired a grants coordinator because what they're seeing through this bill is everything's gonna almost be competitive, you know? So what we've done is county engineers in the state of Iowa has put a committee together. They call it the Grants Committee. And for instance, the bridge grant, no one grant can be more than $25 million. Well, what we did is said, well, we can try to solve that problem in a hurry and put a group of us together to get $25 million, and more than one person can benefit from that. So again, that's what they're trying to do with this road. I don't know what the cap is on the maximum grant coming to the state, but maybe it's still another 25 million in each project. Maybe they only pick 5 at 5 million. I don't know. We don't know that details. The notice of funding opportunity, everything has come out yet. We're trying to be ahead of the game instead of behind it like we were at the bridge. Last time, we weren't expecting the NOFO to come out until March. Here it came out a lot earlier, and we had to bust tail to try to get all of our information in and submit it on time. Now we're trying to be a little bit ahead of the game. We know there's one coming. We don't know what all entails yet, but we want to be ahead of the game before it comes out so we can not be stressed and trying to put things together so quickly.
Yeah, I just asked that because I just, because then maybe.
Oh, there's a lot of questions. I don't know the answers to it, but
what the outcome would be or the percentage or whatever, but you have no idea.
Don't know any of that. Yeah. And maybe we don't get selected in the next round, but I want to make sure that we put everything forward that we can actually at least give it the old college try.
I think you should give it a try.
Isn't there also a program that Justice for 40 that the Biden administration has to bring 40% of the Boulevard counties up to snuff?
I haven't looked into that. I've heard of that Justice for 40 thing. I haven't looked into it. I haven't had time to look into
So
it.
there may be some federal more money coming down.
There might be more coming. I think that was a discussion that took place in one of the grant meetings. We have the grant committee might know more about it, but there might be more coming. I haven't been able to keep up with all that stuff. That's why we have the grant committee and we have the grant coordinator to kind of let us know what's going on. So yeah, I'd like to know more about it, and I will learn more about it later on. I just don't have that information right now.
Sydney, do you have any comments?
No, I'm good with him with going forward with it.
Okay.
So these grant things must be like the thing in the future.
Well, when they throw a bill out there, I think I know that when they did the bill, I think there was still probably was there a general increase in some gas tax things, but a lot of money too is now competitive. They're throwing the money out there, but you gotta compete for it.
That's unfortunate because before it was funding for the need and everybody got their funding for their needs. And now it's kind of like, okay, we're gonna have a grant and you can all submit it. And if we think we want you to have it, then we'll award you the money. And they can put the money anywhere in the country that they feel that they want to have more growth. It's,
I mean,
not ready.
I think there was probably a modification to the tax, the gas tax or the registration taxes and things like that. There's a modification for some of that, but usually a bill like that is more, and I could be wrong, seems to be more of grant opportunities. Yeah, we're gonna throw more money into the system, but obviously they know there's not enough money for everybody to get what they want, so then they make it competitive. And yeah, you're right, maybe they do look at it and say, well, when you look at the bridge grant, how can you not want to give Iowa a bunch of money? Because if we've got the worst bridges in the country, why wouldn't you want them to improve them, But yeah, it's still competitive.
Yeah, and I'm talking with Ashley Hinson, there's always been those grants out there, but when you get to the big cities and they have hired grant writers and they're looking for this, where the small rural areas, most of the time it's too late for us. So I think we need to really take advantage of, you got guys out there that the engineers have hired. Maybe we're gonna hear more about these grants that we can try and get rural America back on its feet. We'll see.
Now you have by grant writers, before you had to buy lobbyists to pay them to give you a bill. Now it's all money.
It is.
They're well worth their money in gold if they can get you $5 million and you're only paying 20. I get it. It's crazy anymore. Even with some of our funding, I wish they just, instead of having this STP money and we have to apply for it in our district and District 2, there's usually not a problem with the county engineers in District 2 saying, okay, we know you don't have the money in your account. We'll sacrifice our share to you for now. And then when we want ours, we do it a lot different than some of the other districts do, where if you're allotted X amount of dollars, that's all we're going to let you spend. Our district has been very successful in other state groups, the COGS, probably wish they could do the same thing we do. We have very little disputes. We get along well, and people get the projects done they want to get done, whether or not you're overspent, underspent in this fund and an STP fund, because we all share. We all know that we've got our own stuff coming up that we're going to be able to afford. We'll let each other go in the negative and keep building it up, so we work really well together. But with the federal stuff, it's just competitive. There's other things that we can get competitive for too, but sometimes we just don't qualify because we're not in as bad a shape as other places are.
Sounds like we're committed for you to do something.
All right. I'm hoping the city kind of says the same thing, and maybe if they're not, I still think we find a way to work with them. I think it's something that really could be done. I mean, out of all the towns we have in the county, I suppose there's still Mitchell too, but that road's a little bit better shape than what we've got going on through Stacyville. So.
What the Carpenter Railroad tracks?
Yeah, well, I've got to send an email out too. They're going to be talking about, I think is ISAC coming up?
This week?
They're not having a day at the Capitol for the engineers, I don't think, or maybe they're not having one at all. But I know that some of the county engineers that'll be there are going to be talking to the railroad and having to sit down, and they want to know what the problems are. I'll tell you right now, what I hear is rough crossings and blocked roads, and very little response from anybody. So
Might get a little more response now from the railroads.
Because I think they're supposed to only block a crossing for a limited amount of time,
Yeah, by code, I think it's 10 minutes.
10 minutes. A gal was late for work yesterday and she sat at Manly for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Nightmare.
That's the one that usually gets the most complaints is when there's, because they've got those roads there and they've got.
Should you call 911
Sometimes
when
you're
it's over
trapped in
10 minutes?
town. You can't get out.
So,
Mark, where did you say that, or what?
I think the railroad's gonna be looking at their stuff a little more cautiously now.
After them accidents, yeah.
Before they were flexing their muscles, now I think they'll be backing off a little bit now. And
well, the biggest complaints I get is, well, there's bolts sticking up, there's nails sticking up through the, I can't control that, and I have to call the same number you guys do. And if they get enough complaints on it, then it probably hits the queue. Oh, we gotta look at this, but you know, you look at a lot of the rough crossings and how the railroad sets lower than the road. Well, we don't build the road up on purpose. When they put the tracks in, everything is a nice smooth transition over time, that gets pounded down, and now our road's higher, and everybody wants to blame the county for it when it's in their right of way, it's their tracks that are settling. But yeah, we're the ones that take all the heat for it, so. So I'll go ahead with the grant thing. Working on the all annual permit for overweight. I'm gonna do what Cerro Gordo County did and talked about getting a consultant in for about $1,200 to $2,000. They'll evaluate our routes, look at bridges they think need to be rated and ones that don't. And then we'll go from there. Once we get an idea of where we are with routes, they'll also give us an estimate of what it costs to rate each bridge on the route. I'm gonna guess it's a few $100s per bridge to get rated if we find a route that's suitable. But we've got a lot of posted bridges and they won't qualify for being on a route at all. So again, we wanna do this, we wanna open these routes up for this annual permit, but we've got posted bridges, you can't drive over them. And we've got several posted bridges, you know. I'd like to get 105 on that main route. I've got bridges that are posted on 105 that won't be able to take that 12% increase. And even if you get through Mitchell County, you still got to get through Worth County, you still got to get to other routes to make it work. So we'll find some routes that are open, and we'll try to do the best we can at trying to find plausible routes, mainly probably to get people to the main highways, to Highway 9 or 218, because that's kind of where most of the freight goes and those roads are set up for it. But so we're probably looking at getting the consultant in on that to get that done too. Finally, the Transportation Research Board, there's a low volume roads conference. It's every 4 years. It's national, it's actually global. And this year it's being hosted by the Iowa County Engineers Association in Cedar Rapids. I've talked to Worth County Board, they're okay with me going to it. It's in late July. If I can commit to being a moderator, I can get a cheaper rate for the conference. And it's not, I don't think it's an expensive conference to go to anyway. I think it's the 23rd through the 26th. And I can't remember what registration is, but it's under $400, I think, for those days. But if I can get in early and moderate, I can get a cheaper rate. I don't know what that cheaper rate is, but I'm hoping that you guys will agree to let me go and I'll commit to trying to moderate so I get a cheaper rate. But it's a once every 4-year thing, and it's actually in Iowa this year, and it's global. So they gave me the okay to go ahead and go, I think.
Yeah, I'd say yes.
I think I gave you enough today to think about. We've got a lot of work to do, so.
Yeah. Good luck.
Any other questions for the engineer? We're good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to back up just 1 second for department head discussion because I forgot to do it when we did this. And it has to do with when I talked with Aaron in regards to that ordinance. And so this entity that's looking at Mitchell County has spoke with 2 supervisors, contacted the other 3, wants to have a meeting. The other 3 is Todd, Cindy, and myself. The dates that they're wondering about is March 14th or March 15th. So what I'm just proposing, I'm wondering, and I want the county attorney in on this also, is it possible, Todd and Sydney, that you find a date that you guys could meet with the individual, and then I'll meet with the individual and Eric could be along? Is that just an idea? Work for either of you?
15th, I have a meeting in Charles City at 12:30. Morning would work. The 14th is, I'm free after our Board of Supervisors meeting.
How about you, Sydney?
I will be available both those days.
Want to just figure on after the board meeting then, and what he said was that he can meet with two, and then the other person could just wait till that meeting's done and then have a meeting again. So if you guys wanted to meet after the board meeting, and then I'll just wait till, I don't know what he figures on our meeting, or what do we?
I was all that.
Okay, so, but I guess I just needed to know a day first if it works for you guys, and does that work for you,
How
Eric?
about the 14th?
14th, does that work for you, or?
I've got some juvenile hearings, but start at 8:45, but a lot of times most of the time those are pretty quick. I mean, each one is pretty quick. So I can come in and out.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, if it doesn't work, it's
Well-
gonna have to be another time, I mean, for him, you and me and
Well,
him.
I mean, I'm happy to be there. I don't know that I have to. I mean, if you guys want to do it without me, that's fine, but I mean, looks like I've got, like, for example, I've got, one that's supposed to end at 9:15 and another that starts at 10:30, right? So that's quite a chunk of time that I ought to be available. Unless something happens where a hearing goes really long, which I don't anticipate.
Well, Todd said it sounds like you guys can do after the meeting, we'll go with that for now, and we'll just get something figured out.
It really, I mean, it should,
I guess I met with him at 2:00 in the afternoon. I think he's here for the whole day somewhere, so
Okay,
wherever they will be. So.
okay.
Yeah, and I did see I have that email, so I don't, do you want to let him know a time, or you want me to, or?
We can, that would be fine if you wanted to do that. I guess I'm wondering I don't know how big the agenda is right yet, but we can figure that out, and that maybe 10 o'clock, I don't know, 10 o'clock, or do you want to get a hold of him?
Yeah, I'll just email him, maybe, and if he's gonna be around, maybe he'll
Yeah, he'll
just
be in town
want.
all day, so.
Yeah, so maybe we won't do it till 11 o'clock or something like that. But yeah, I'll email him.
Okay.
And Sydney, you're available most of the day?
Yeah, I'll be available all day Tuesday, and I'll be in the office all day Wednesday. So either day will work for me.
Okay. I'll reach out to him and see what would work.
If you could get it close to the end of our meeting, that would be good, because then that's not gonna bump me into the afternoon for when I meet with him too, so. Okay. But we'll get it figured out. Very good. Thank you. Okay. Sorry to have to go back, but discussion and possible action on conservation CRP resolution.
Yeah, so I think Rachel, you sent that thing out. So basically last week we were saying there's a piece of property that the conservation owns, manages, that we wanted to, last year was being cropped. Board wants to move it into CRP, this year, which we've got everything lined up. We submitted everything to the NRCS office. Everything was going fine until it got to Des Moines. Basically, long story short, when property is acquired by the County Conservation Board, the attorney either puts it under county conservation or under Mitchell County type thing. So this property got signed under Mitchell County. This Des Moines office is then requiring that the supervisor's got to sign the paperwork, not the conservation director. Instead of having to come to you every time, because we tried to get it done last week, we were going to have Todd try and swing up there, and it's just easier if you guys go ahead and sign over power of attorney. This is what they recommended, so that the conservation director can continue to sign the paperwork. If it's owned by Mitchell County, and it's managed by the Mitchell County Conservation Board type thing. So it's just a way to continue the paperwork going type thing through that we've done in the past. But this property just happens to be listed under Mitchell County when it was acquired. I'm not sure when that was acquired. So it's just to help us keep it from having to do it. If we don't, then the chairman of the board has to go up to the USDA, sign it, and we have to provide proof of that you're an elected official, that you're the chairman of the board type thing. So instead of having you always have to go out there and go through, sign the paperwork, it's much easier just to sign power of attorney and allow me to continue to do that. It's just Mitchell County Conservation managed property, and it's just through the USDA office, so just signing paperwork up there. So, but we need a motion second that it's passed, and then I need a letter signed by the chairman, or I suppose you could sign it, Rachel, as attested to, and then we can turn it over to them. So, just federal government, more paperwork. Don't know how that works.
How many acres is it?
I think we're putting just close to 20 acres in.
CRP pays more than cash rent?
Yeah.
Really?
From what I got, this $2,000 is what we were getting cash rent. The total property, I should say, is around 20 acres. I don't remember exactly how much is going to CRP, but we'll get like $6,000 in CRP. So that's why the board wants to flip it over and then put it in bird habitat.
Don't you have to have a farmer do that or something?
Yeah, we've got a tenant lined up.
So you gotta have a pass-through person, right?
The guy that was a tenant, where did it last year, can be our tenant, so he's gonna do it for us.
What do the pass-through persons get?
10%. Each one's different, but the statewide average is 10%, and that's what we agreed to on this.
How do they pick the pass-through person?
We've usually gone with who's rented it or used crop on it before. That way you're going with the same tenant that this NRCS office already has in place. So he's the one that's been renting it for the last couple of years. His name's already on the paperwork for that aspect of it, so it's easier just to continue with him as the tenant type thing. So we reach out to those tenants and have them stay on there. Otherwise, we gotta go through a whole rigmarole through the USDA office. It's easier this way.
Any other questions? What's the resolution number?
1157-23. And I did have send this to Aaron to have him.
I didn't think government could be CRP through government, you know what I mean? But.
So what?
I say, like, to be eligible, I thought it had to be a farmer, rancher, or private landowners to enroll in CRP. I didn't know county government could.
We can enroll, but the tenant can. We're signing off that the tenant can sign it up for CRP, then he collects the check, and then as part of his rental agreement for the property, he turns over the check to us as a rent payment.
So it's kind of.
It's passed through. All counties are doing it. It's just a way to get the property in, because otherwise you gotta come up with the money to put the seed and everything in the ground, which, if you guys are aware, native grass seed is not the cheapest thing in the world, so this is a way to keep that program going.
The CRP we don't get any income off that tax base?
Say that again?
The county doesn't get any tax base off CRP, do they?
We get the payment off that type thing. If it's county owned ground, there's no tax base on it, period, to begin with. So we don't tax like road department for their shop area, conservation area, so there's no tax on it now, so this is where you get an income off that ground. And more than what we're getting for the cash crop that we were getting, so. And it locks it in for 10 years, so we'll get that at 10 years. So it's a win, and that goes all back to the general fund, that's offsetting revenue for the conservation department.
Is there a motion to accept resolution number 1157-23? I'll make that motion. Brian's made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Bartle seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Sydney,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Motion carries. Great.
Thanks, and Rachel, just give me a letter.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Mitchell County Economic Development Commission update.
Great. All right. Morning. So just to kind of recap here, I started last July, and then Tracy also started a couple months prior to that. So we spent the the first several months out there touring the different businesses and industries in Mitchell County. I'm currently back out there again, just making sure people know who I am, know my name, my face, how to get a hold of me, and just making sure that they know what I can help with and different things I can help with. So, just like an update on the derelict homes, that program started last January. And so, as of today, we've had 9 applications for the program, and 8 of those applications, the homes have been demolished, and actually 3 of those homes are really close to being finished to live in, if not already ready for someone to live in. So that's awesome. Just to update on the Maple Inn, demolition started, and actually it's probably complete. When I talked to Bryce probably about a month ago, they were just starting the demolition on that. They're working with Ullman's Plumbing and Heating and KFS for electric, OMU for the transformers, and then Town and Country for the insurance. And then he said that once it gets closer, he'll just coordinate with me to schedule like tours if you guys want to get a tour of the place. He will definitely do that for you guys. And then an update on Art Shoes. The work was bid out, and Wagner Construction will be doing the work, and the completion is expected to be May of 2023. For the spec building, I currently don't have anybody interested in those, in that building, and so those funds just remain in our account. Something that we do is we manage and administer some revolving loan funds. So my understanding is that at some point, the USDA gave us some money to be used towards businesses for gap funding, financing, and that sort of thing. And so recently we approved 2 different RLF loans, one for Stan's Drive-In, and then the other one for Homer's Bar and Grill.
Are those grants or are those loans?
They're loans,
So
yeah.
they'll pay
They
back.
are loans and they have to be paid back. They're low interest though, like they're like a 4-point-some interest, so they're just like, they're supposed to be like a lower interest than what they could get at the bank.
Okay.
Yep,
I just
absolutely,
know
yep.
how it works. Yep.
A loan, yep. And then the orchard site update, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the orchard site, like in that certification process, but essentially what we have is on Orchard, we have the site, orchard site location where, like today it's farm ground, but at some point if like there was a new industry that wanted to come into Mitchell County, they can go to the location information system. It's a nationwide website to determine if they wanted to come to Mitchell County. And so like today it's farm ground, but going through the state certification process, essentially like it would be, it's like, it makes it project ready. So then if somebody like calls tomorrow and says, we want this, and they can start construction, that sort of thing. And so I guess it was initially certified in 2015, but like currently it's just, it had to go through the recertification process, and they don't like how the natural gas line, they just don't like how that was like initially like set up. And so the regulations have changed since 2015. So right now we're just working with Black Hills, and they're just kind of exploring their different avenues of like what they can provide for the gas line for that.
That's that real large one that's coming through the county, that's what you're referring to? That real,
No,
okay,
I don't think so, huh?
okay.
The gas, like you're talking about the gas, like the
Yeah.
Port Authority stuff? No.
So the Black Hills, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Black Hills, I mean, I think initially like I think it was Northern, like had the plan for, that they submitted to the state, but like this time they just, like the state didn't like how it looked or whatever. And so now they're just looking at different options, I guess.
Okay. All right.
So we're waiting on Black Hills. Once Black Hills gets back to me and says this is what we can do, and I'll share that information.
Okay.
So, something new that I did was I just applied for different scholarship or different grants and stuff, and so we use that money for scholarships or education for businesses, and also we have like scholarships available for future Mitchell County entrepreneurs to attend the venture school offered through the Papa John Entrepreneurial Center at Nyack. We also have used that money for online QuickBooks class, just because the previous QuickBooks, it wasn't no longer going to be supported after May, I think, of this year, so we offered that class. People call and ask for assistance with different things. I work closely, like every month, the entrepreneurial / SBDC director comes each month. And I just work closely with him just to make sure if there's new people like starting up, that they're aware that he's available to provide, basically free businesses or free counseling to the business. And he can really step in at any stage in the business. And so I just make sure that the businesses are aware that he's available. As we've toured around and as I meet with different employers, workforce remains to be a significant issue here in Mitchell County, as it's everywhere. Ashley Henson, when she was here, she talked about that. It's like across the board. It's not just unique to Mitchell County and stuff. So we met with, her name is Sarah Rye. She's from Iowa Works Business Retention. She's an Iowa Works Business Retention Consultant, and she can help with different, she just has different ideas to help with our workforce challenges. What she was explaining to us is it's just a very limited labor pool right now, and it's kind of working with what the choices are and what the options are out there for the workforce. Different programs that they have is hiring veterans like ex-cons and working with Iowa Vocational Rehab. She also encourages businesses to post their jobs in the Iowa Works website. A lot of employers use Indeed. I think Indeed is kind of the go-to place, but just posting it there as well. It's free. It doesn't cost any money to do that, but that's where anybody who is on unemployment, part of that regulation is that people who have lost their jobs have to go to that site and look for positions and that sort of thing. And then employers can also recruit on that site. And so she is coming next Tuesday. And so I just sent out an email saying if there's any businesses that want to sign up and hear more about that. We still have some openings. And so anybody that wants to get signed up, just let me know. Just an update on Quickstar. I know that there's been discussions in the past about having Quickstar relocate to an area that out to the plaza area, and at this time they're not interested in moving out there. There's quite a bit of costs that come with buying the plaza. There's costs associated with demolition costs, and then a building is $8 to I think $11 million, and so that's just not something that they're interested in at this time. Quickstar, they moved into the Dakotas and stuff, and I think that's probably where they're focusing their new stores on. So I know last week too, I talked about the St. Ansgar daycare, and I think somebody asked about a plan, so I did bring a plan. You guys can have this, but the addition is just going to be south of the daycare. It's just right now they're working on finalizing the design, and then it is supposed to be constructed by late fall of 23, so that's not even that far away. And that will add 55 new daycare slots. And so once it gets further down the road, the director, Rose, will come and present more about it, because I think at one point you guys had pledged a certain amount of money, and right now it's under state oversight, because they got the grant, the Iowa grant for that. And so once it gets further down the road, she'll come and present more about that and probably request her money. But I'll just pass this around to you guys if you guys want to look at that addition.
Are they able to keep enough employees on hand to take care of what they're got
They
now?
are actually doing pretty well with their staff, actually. And so what she said too is what they would do with this is it would just happen in phases and stuff. So, but today they're doing pretty good for staff.
I know they were struggling, or they all were,
But, and we did call to all the daycares in Mitchell County a couple of weeks ago, and there really was no openings, but if there was possible openings, they don't have the staff. So.
Yeah. That's what I meant, if you build more daycare, don't have workers, it's because I know that's been a problem.
Yep.
But But yeah, it's definitely needed, for sure.
So in different cities, have requested that I help with certain things, so I'm just working on some of those things. I mean, I think the biggest thing is there's lots of different resources available for businesses, industries, from small business to like some of the bigger industries. And so what I'm gonna work on doing is putting together a packet of information, and I just wanna make sure that I like simplify it the best that I can. I don't wanna just overwhelm people with a packet of information, but I'm just trying to like simplify things. Just like some resources that I can provide to businesses and employers and that sort of thing. So, but if you guys have any questions, or I'll make sure that you guys get my reports every month, and then also I'll probably just send that derelict spreadsheet out each month too when I send my report. And then if you guys have any goals or anything for me to work on, you know where to find me.
You keeping track with the demo house incentive thing that we're doing, as an example, are you keeping track of what gets built and the benefits that are happening because of what was there before compared to what's being built, so there's some sort of record?
Yeah, I mean with, like the derelicts, you mean,
Yeah,
or like,
just-
or in previous ones too.
Just to prove that what we're doing is a benefit
Yeah,
and outcome.
yeah.
Beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, so right now it's like a process thing, so we're like going through the process of like, the application, and then the demolition, happens, and then they build a new house, but, and like I said earlier, like 3 of those homes are nearly built, and so, but then like the next step I think would be is like, okay, like what do we, look at, like what did this do?
What are we getting back in property taxes compared to what? we
Yep,
used to get?
absolutely, so, yep, we can definitely do that.
Does Mapleland have a estimated completion date, do you know?
Yes, fall of 2023.
So it's next fall.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so, and really, and the other one, Art Shoes was May, so that's really only a couple months away.
Yeah.
So, and that was supposed to be, I think, a combined, like 14 units combined. So,
14 apartments, correct?
like 12 apartments at Maple Inn and 2
Over there.
at Arts, I think, I'm pretty sure. So,
Something about right.
so,
Any other questions for Rennie?
On that, the derelict housing, you might want to maybe consider, if, once it's built, if it's for sale, or if the units people are renting, if that's what it is. So,
Yeah.
people know that they're either available, there are people.
yeah, so I actually have a meeting set up with the Enterprise Journal for, I think it's like the end of this month, where she's gonna come and just do a story on it, so it'll be in the Enterprise Journal in a couple weeks. Especially as we see like the completion in those houses being completed, it's exciting, so.
Exactly.
You haven't had any new applicants for that, have you?
Nope, no new ones.
I know building materials back down to where it was pre-COVID now, as far as lumber goes.
Good.
Okay, thank you very much. Items of note, meetings attended. I don't have much last, for a while here, I haven't had too much, but I went to a city council meeting, hosted a city council meeting last night. The big thing is they set the date for their proposed max levy notice. Pretty much all I had.
I had
Cindy, do you
no
wanna
meeting.
go, or-
I had no
Pardon me?
meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I went to the county social service meeting last week, and Iowa State University, Darla Olson's there, and she spoke on all things that are going on with that, and somebody else spoke about the mentor program for kids, and, like adults to have a mentor. So there's opportunity for that, and the county, if people wish to join that, but, and then I just meeting with Carpenter to figure that out.
Oh, to that county social service one also, Mike and Todd was there, and that Nicole Gisselson was the name that,
Did the mentor.
mentoring. They have a lot more kids that need mentors, and it takes an hour a week to be a mentor if you want to be a mentor. And then Iowa Workforce, their state talking about consolidating more the unemployment centers. Used to be one in every county years ago, 99, now they're down to one in every 20 counties there's one. And the way the state's doing stuff, it seems like they're eliminating more agencies. It's been trending that way. Good or bad, it is. That was it.
As those two said, I was at that community collaboration meeting also, and I thought Darla Olson's presentation, a lot of people don't know what the extension office is for. And so her program really was, kind of explained what that was all about. I thought that was pretty good. And then I went to a community health needs meeting on Friday. That was with Jess Kettleson. That went pretty good. We discussed 2 to 5 priorities for Mitchell County and kind of put a group together on each one. Actually, we ended up with just 4 that we want to focus on. And number 1 is mental health. Number 2, immunizations, kind of really down from the COVID years. And number 3, cancer, diabetes. Number 4, obesity and activities. So of the group, a handful of people that is involved with these 4 are going to be getting together for a meeting and see if we can put something together and see if we can work on preventing some of this stuff and reaching out to our county that these are available for them. So, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Manure management plan update.
One from Schroeder Hog Farms LLC, 3361 340th Street, Elma.
Okay, thank you. Public comments.
I have a short comment. Number 1, all of government is funded by taxation. And taxation is derived by law. Therefore, we should deal with the law when we're talking about taxation or how it's going to be distributed. You have a great responsibility seeing that it gets distributed properly. And reading something that is not signed by anyone that may or may not have fact or alternative facts should not even become part of the minutes of the meeting. It's just making everything murky. Tax laws include all kinds of different processes of distributing that. TIP is part of it. TIP is good if used properly. There are laws that govern it. Let's learn what those laws are and deal with the truth about TIP and about regular taxation. Give the people the opportunity to see the difference about where it works and where it doesn't.
I couldn't agree with you more.
So that's all I have to say. Let's deal with the truth about it. Let's not murky it up. It's a good tool. Use it when it's usable and find other alternatives is not proper.
Any other public comments? Yes.
I would like to explain that the letter that was read is a draft letter that was from myself. A draft that I am sending to the local legislators in regards to the use of TIP in Mitchell County, its impact on property taxes, the percentage of TIP that's being utilized, and the increase or decrease in revenue to the local taxing bodies. So the letter is from myself. I fully stand behind it. And again, this was a draft that I am sending to the local legislators as a proposed way of looking at property tax reform. So the current legislation is talking about putting a cap on the growth in assessments, and that actually would not impact, well, The problem with that legislation that they're looking at is the fact that property taxes are not paid on assessed value, but they're paid on the taxable value, to which there already is a 3% growth limit. So it was really simply a way to educate. So if anyone has any questions or would like to know the sources of my information, I would be happy to share that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay. Hearing none. The meeting is not agended because we're going to canvass the votes for the February 28th, 2023 Riceville special election. So everyone is, by all means, consider owning.
It'll be quick today.
Be quick.
All right. So for the Riceville Community Center,
Keep it going.
what? Yeah. Yep. So for absentee ballots, for mayor to fill vacancy, Brian Sigler in there received 0 votes. Lynn Doan received 3 votes. And Dylan Cummings received 0 votes. We had 4 absentee requests. One was for John David Sill. They changed the legislation. It used to be if it was mailed prior to the election date, that Monday, that we could receive them. Now it is, we have to receive it by the time the polls close. We received this on March 1st, which was the day after. So we haven't opened it, we haven't done anything, but that's why that one won't count. So for Riceville Community Center election day, Brian Sigler received 15 votes. Lynn Doan, 82. And Dylan Cummings, 0. So there's a total for Brian Sigler with 15 votes, Lynn Doan, 85, and Dylan Cummings, 0, with 4 scattering. So we'll hold the second tier canvass then next Wednesday. Not Wednesday, Tuesday, sorry. And that will include the in Howard County side. That's all.
All right.
That's.
What? I know they're rough draft and it's basically kind of, they had less turnout than we did and the same person had the most votes. But, yeah.
So that's next Wednesday?
Next Tuesday, sorry, I said
Oh, okay.
Wednesday. Yep,
All right.
next Tuesday we'll do the same thing.
Same
And
thing
so,
as what we're doing now, only for that side.
yep, we'll just have a total with both of them together.
Okay.
That's all.
Very good. Accept the motion to adjourn the meeting. So moved. Brian makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Meyer seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is, meeting is adjourned. I'm gonna stop that, please.